Some highest peaks of the Himalayas. Peaks: Mountain Everest, country Nepal, height in meters 8,848. Kanchenjunga, India, 8,598. Magal, Nepal, 8,481. Dhaulagiri, Nepal, 8,172. Nanga Parbat, India, 8,126. Annapurna, Nepal, 8,078. Nanda Devi, India, 7,817. Kamath, India, 7,756. Namja Barwa, India, 7,756. Gurla Madata, Nepal, 7,728. The folds of Great Himalayas are asymmetrical in nature. The core of this part of Himalayas is composed of granite. It is perennially snow-bound, and a number of glaciers descend from this range. The range lying to the south of the Himadri forms of the most rugged mountain system and is known as Himachal or Lesser Himalaya. The ranges are mainly composed of highly compressed and altered rocks. The altitude varies between 3,700 and 4,500 meters, and the average width is of 50 km, while the Pir Panjal range forms the longest and the most important range. The Dhaula, Dar and the Mahabharat ranges are also prominent ones. This range consists of the famous valley of Kashmir, the Kangra and Kulu valley is in Himachal Pradesh. This region is well known for its hill stations. The outermost range of the Himalayas is called the Shivaliks. The extended over a width of 10 to 50 km and have an altitude varying between 900 and 1,100 meters. These ranges are composed of unconsolidated sediments brought down by rivers from the main Himalayan ranges located farther north. These valleys are covered with thick gravel and alluvium. The longitudinal valley lying between Lesser Himalaya and Shivaliks are known as duns. Dehra Dun, Kodli Dun and Patli Dun are some of the well-known duns. Besides the longitudinal divisions, the Himalayas have been divided on the basis of regions from west to east. These divisions have been demarcated by river valleys. For example, the part of Himalayas lying between Indus and Salju has been traditionally known as Punjab Himalaya, but it is also known as regionally as Kashmir and Himachal Himalaya from west to east respectively. The part of the Himalayas lying between Sajlu and Kali rivers is known as Kuman Himalayas. The Kali and Tista rivers demarcate the Nepal Himalayas, and the part lying between Tista and Dihan rivers is known as Assam Himalayas. There are regional names also in these broad categories. Find out some regional names of the Himalayas. The Brahmaputra marks the easternmost boundary of the Himalayas. Beyond the Dihan Gorge, the Himalayas bend sharply to the south and spread along the eastern boundary of India. They are known as the Purvanchal or the Eastern Hills and Mountains. These hills running through the northeastern states are mostly composed of strong sandstones, which are sedimentary rocks covered with dense forests. They mostly run as parallel ranges and valleys. The Purvanchal comprises the Patkai Hills, the Naga Hills, Manipur Hills and the Mizo Hills. The Northern Plain. The Northern Plain has been formed by the interplay of the three major river systems, namely the Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra, along with their tributaries. This plain is formed of alluvial soil. The deposition of alluvium in a vast basin lying at the foothills of the Himalaya over millions of years formed this fertile plain. It spreads over an area of 7 lakh square kilometers. The plain being about 2,400 kilometers long and 240 to 320 kilometers abroad is a densely populated physiographic division with a rich soil cover combined with adequate water supply and favorable climate. It is agriculturally a very productive part of India. The rivers coming from northern mountains are involved in depositional work. In the lower course, due to gentle slope, the velocity of the river decreases, with which results in the formation of riverine islands. The rivers in their lower course split into numerous channels due to the deposition of silt. These channels are known as distributaries. The northern plain is broadly divided into three sections. The western part of the northern plain is referred to as the Punjab Plains, formed by the Indus and its tributaries. The larger part of this plain lies in Pakistan. The Indus and its tributaries, the Jhelum, the Chenab, the Ravi, the Beas and the Satluj originate in the Himalaya. This section of the plain is dominated by the Doabs. The Ganga plain extends between the Jaggar and Teesta rivers. It is spread over the states of the northern India, Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar, partly Jharkhand and West Bengal to its east, particularly in Assam, lies in the Brahmaputra plain. The northern plains are generally described as flat land with no variations in its relief. It is not true. These vast plains also have diverse relief features according to the variations in relief features. The northern plains can be divided into four regions. The rivers, after descending from the mountains, deposit pebbles in a narrow belt of about 8 to 16 kilometers in width, laying parallel to the slopes of the Shivaliks. It is known as Babar. All the streams disappear in this Babar belt. South of this belt, the streams and rivers re-emerge and create a wet, swampy and marshy region known as Terai. This was a thickly forested region full of wildlife. The forests have been cleared to create agricultural land and to settle migrants from Pakistan after partition. Located Duduwa National Park in this region. The largest part of the northern plain is formed of older alluvium. They lie above the floodplains of the rivers and present a terrace-like feature. This part is known as Bangar. The soil in this region contains calcareous deposits locally known as Kangar. The never younger deposits of the floodplains are called Kadar. They are renewed almost every year and so are fertile, thus ideal for intensive agriculture. The peninsular plate. The peninsular plate is a tableland composed of the old crystalline, igneous and metamorphic rocks. It was formed due to the breaking and drifting of the Gondwana land and thus making it a part of the oldest landmass. The plate has broad and shallow valleys and rounded hills. This plate consists of two broad divisions, namely the Central Highlands and the Deccan Plate. The part of the peninsular plate lying to the north of the Narmada River, covering a major area of the Malwa Plate, is known as the Central Highlands. The Vindhyan Range is bounded by the Central Highlands on the south and the Arava valleys on the northwest. The further westward extension gradually merges with the sandy and rocky desert of Rajasthan. The flow of the rivers draining this region, namely the Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa and Ken, is from southwest to northwest, thus indicating the slope. The Central Highlands are wider in the west but narrower in the east. The eastward extensions of this plate are locally known as the Bandagal Khan and Bagal Khan. The Chota Nagpur plate marks the further eastward extension drained by the Damodar River. The Deccan Plate is a triangular landmass that lies to the south of the river Narmada. The Salpura Range flanks its broad base in the north, while the Mahadev, the Kaimulur Hills and the Michael Range form its eastern extensions. Locate these hills and ranges in the physical map of India. The Deccan Plate is higher in the west and slopes gently eastwards. An extension of the plate is also visible in the northeast, locally known as the Meghalaya, Karbi Anglong Plate and North Kachar Hills. It is separated by a fault from the Chota Nagpur Plate. Three prominent hill ranges from the west to east are the Garo, the Ghazi and the Jaindai Hills. The Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats mark the western and the eastern edges of the Deccan Plate respectively. Western Ghats lie parallel to the western coast. They are continuous and can be crossed through passes only. Locate the Tal, Bor and the Pal Ghats in the physical map of India. The Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats. Their average elevation is 900 to 1600 meters as against 600 meters of the Eastern Ghats. The Eastern Ghats stretch from the Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiris in the south. The Eastern Ghats are discontinuous and irregular and dissected by rivers draining into the Bay of Bengal. The Western Ghats cause orographic rain by facing the rain-bearing moist winds to rise along the western slopes of the Ghats. The Western Ghats are known by different local names. The height of the Western Ghats progressively increases from north to south. The highest peaks include the Anaimudi 2695 meters and the Doda Betta 2637 meters. Dragiri, 1501 meters, is the one of the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats. Shavroi Hills and the Javadi Hills are located to the southeast of the Eastern Ghats. Locate the famous hill stations of Udagan Mandalam, popularly known as Ooty and Kodaikanal. One of the distinct features of the peninsular plate is the black soil area known as Deccan Trap. This is the volcanic origin, hence the rocks are igneous. Actually, these rocks have denuded over the time and are responsible for the formation of black soil. The Aravalli Hills lie on the western and northwestern margins of the peninsular plate. These are highly eroded hills and are found as broken hills. They extend from Gujarat to Delhi in a southwest northeast direction. The Indian Desert. The Indian Desert lies towards the western margins of the Aravalli Hills. It is an undulating sandy plain covered with sand dunes. This region receives very low rainfall below 150 mm per year. It has arid climate with low vegetation cover. Streams appear during the rainy season. Soon after they disappear into the sand as they do not have enough water to reach the sea. Luni is the only large river in this region. Virgins cover large areas, but longitudinal dunes become more prominent near the Indo-Pakistan boundary. If you visit Jaisalmer, you may go to see a group of virgins. The coastal plains. The peninsular plate is flanked by stretches of narrow coastal streams running along the Arabian Sea on the west and the Bay of Bengal on the east. The western coast, sandwiched between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea, is a narrow plain. It consists of the three sections. The northern part of the coast is called the Konkan, Mumbai, Goa. The central section is called the Carnatic Plain, while the southern stretch is referred to as the Malabar Coast. The plains along the Bay of Bengal are wide and level. In the northern part, it is referred to as the Northern Circle, while the southern part is known as the Coromandel Coast. Large rivers such as the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri have formed extensive delta on this coast. Lake Chilika is an important feature along the eastern coast. The islands. You have already seen that India has a vast mainland. Besides this, the country has also two groups of islands. Locate the Lakshadweep Islands group lying close to the Malabar coast of Kerala. This group of islands is composed of small coral islands. Earlier they were known as Lakshadweep, Minikoi and Aminidev. In 1973, these were named as Lakshadweep. It covers small area of 32 square kilometers. Kavaratti Island is the administrative headquarters of Lakshadweep. This island group has great diversity of flora and fauna. The Piti Island, which is uninhabited, has a bird sanctuary. Coral polyps are short-lived microscopic organisms which live in colonies. They flourish in shallow, mud-free and warm waters. They secrete calcium carbonate. The coral secretion and their skeletons from coral deposits in the form of reefs. They are mainly in three kinds: barrier reef, fringing reef and atolls. The Great Barrier Reef of Australia is a good example of the first kind of coral reefs. Atolls are circular or horseshoe-shaped coral reefs. Now you see the elongated chain of islands located in the Bay of Bengal, extending from north to south. These are Andaman and Nicobar Islands. They are bigger in size and are more numerous and scattered. The entire group of islands is divided into two broad categories: the Andaman in the north and the Nicobar in the south. It is believed that these islands are an elevated portion of submarine mountains. These island groups are of great strategic importance for the country. There is great diversity of flora and fauna in this group of islands too. These islands lie close to equator and experience equatorial climate and has thick forest cover. India's only active volcano is found on Barren Island in Andaman and Nicobar group of islands. A detailed account of the different physiographic units highlights the unique features of each region. It would, however, be clear that each region complements the other and makes the country richer in its natural resources. The mountains are the major sources of water and forest wealth. The northern plains are the granaries of the country. They provide the base for early civilizations. The plain is a storehouse of minerals, which has played a crucial role in the industrialization of the country. The coastal region and island groups provide cities for fishing and port activities. Thus, the diverse physical features of the land have immense future possibilities of development. Population. Can you imagine a world without human beings who would have utilized resources and created the social and cultural environment? The people are important to develop the economy and society. The people make and use resources and are themselves resources with varying quality. Coal is but a piece of rock. Until people were able to invent technology to obtain it and make it a resource, natural events like a river flood or tsunami becomes a disaster only when they affect a crowded village or a town. Hence, population is the pivotal element in social studies. It is the point of reference from which all the other elements are observed and from which they derive significance and meaning. Resources, calamities, and disasters are all meaningful only in relation to human beings. Their numbers, distribution, growth, and characteristics or qualities provide the basic background for understanding and appreciating all aspects of the environment. Human beings are producers and consumers of Earth's resources. Therefore, it is important to know how many people are there in a country, where do they live, how and why their numbers are increasing, and what their characteristics. The Census of India provides us with information regarding the population of our country. We are primarily concerned with three major questions about the population: population size and distribution. How many people are there and where are they located? Population growth and process of population change. How has the population growth and changed through time? Characteristics or qualities of the population. What are their age, sex, composition, literacy levels, occupational structure, and health conditions? Population size and distribution. India's population size and distribution by numbers. Census. A census is an official Enumeration of population done periodically. In India, first census was held in the year 1872. The first complete census, however, was taken in the year 1881. Since then, census have been held regularly every 10th year. The Indian census is the most comprehensive source of demographic, social and economic data. Have you ever seen a census report? Check in your library if it has one. Population size and distribution. India's population as March 2001 stood at 1028 million, which account for 16.7% of the world's population. These 1.02 billion people are unevenly distributed over our country's vast area of 3.28 million square kilometers, which accounts for 2.4% of the world's area. The 2001 census data reveals that Uttar Pradesh, with a population size of 166 million people, is the most populous state of India. Uttar Pradesh accounts for about 16% of the country's population. On the other hand, the Himalayan state Sikkim has a population of just about 0.5 million and Lakshadweep has only 60,000 people. Almost half of India's population lives in just 5 states. These are Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal and Andhra Pradesh. Rajasthan, the biggest state in terms of area, has only 5.5% of the total population of India. What could be the reason of uneven distribution of population in India? India's population distribution by density. Population density provides a better picture of the uneven distribution. Population density is calculated as the number of persons per unit area. India is one of the most densely populated countries of the world. Only Bangladesh and Japan have higher average population densities than India. Find out the population densities of Bangladesh and Japan. The population density of India in the year 2001 was 324 persons per square kilometer. Densities vary from 904 persons per square kilometer in West Bengal to only 13 persons per square kilometer in Arunachal Pradesh. A study of the calculation shows the pattern of uneven distribution of population densities at the state level. Note that the states with population densities below 250 persons per square kilometer, rugged terrain and unfavorable climatic conditions are primarily responsible for sparse population in these areas. Which states have density below 100 persons per square kilometer? Assam and most of the peninsular states have moderate population densities. Hilly, desert and rocky nature of the terrain, moderate to low rainfall, shallow and less fertile soils have influenced population densities in these areas. The northern plains and Kerala in the south have high to very high population densities because of the flat plains with fertile soils and abundant rainfall. Identify 3 states of the northern plains with high population densities. Population growth and the process of population change. Population is a dynamic phenomenon. The numbers, distribution and composition of the population are constantly changing. This is the influence of the interaction of the 3 processes, namely births, deaths and migrations. Population growth. Growth of population refers to the change in the number of inhabitants of a country, territory during a specific period of time, say during the last 10 years. Such a change can be expressed in two ways, in terms of absolute numbers and in terms of percentage change per year. The absolute numbers added each year or decade is the magnitude of increase. It is obtained by simply subtracting the earlier population from the later population. It is referred to as the absolute increase. The rate or the pace of population increase is the other important aspect. It is studied in percentage per annum. A rate of increase of 2% per annum means that in a given year there was an increase of 2% for every 100 persons in the base population. This is referred to as the annual growth rate. India's population has been steadily increasing from 361 million in 1951 to 1028 million in 2001. The annual rate of population growth was steadily increasing, which explains the rapid increase in population from 361 million in 1951 to 683 million in 1981. Since 1981, however, the rate of growth started declining gradually. During this period, birth rates declined rapidly. Still 182 million people were added to the total population in the 1990s alone, an annual addition larger than ever before. It is essential to realize that India has a very large population. When a low annual rate is applied to a very large population, it yields a large absolute increase. When more than a billion people increase even at a lower rate, the total numbers being added becomes very large. India's current annual increase in population of 15.5 million is large enough to neutralize efforts to conserve the resource, endowment and environment. The declining trend of the growth rate is indeed a positive indicator of the efforts of birth control. Despite that, the total additions to the population base continue to grow, and India may overtake China in 2045 to become the most populous country in the world. Process of population change growth. There are three main processes of change of population: birth rates, death rates and migration. The natural increase of population is the difference between birth rates and death rates. Birth rate is the number of the live births per thousand persons in a year. It is a major component of growth because in India, birth rates have always been higher than death rates. Death rate is the number of deaths per thousand persons in a year. The main cause of the rate of growth of the Indian population has been the rapid decline in death rates till 1980. High birth rates and declining death rates led to a large difference between birth rates and the death rates, resulting in higher rates of population growth. Since 1981, birth rates have also started declining gradually, resulting in a gradual decline in the rate of population growth. What are the reasons for this trend? The third component of population growth is migration. Migration is the movement of people across the regions and territories. Migration can be internal within the country or international between the countries. Internal migration does not change the size of the population, but influences the distribution of population within the nation. Migration plays a very significant role in the changing the composition and distribution of population. In India, most migrations have been from rural to urban areas because of the push factor in rural areas. These are adverse conditions of poverty and unemployment in the rural areas and the pull of the city in terms of increased employment opportunities and better living conditions. Migration is an important determinant of the population change. It changes not only the population of size but also the population composition of urban and rural populations in terms of age and sex composition in India. The rural-urban migration has resulted in a steady increase in the percentage of population in cities and towns. The urban population has increased from 17.29% of the total population in 1951 to 27.78% in 2001. There has been a significant increase in the number of million plus cities from 23 to 35 in just one decade, 1991 to 2001. Age composition. The age composition of a population refers to the number of people in different age groups in a country. It is one of the most basic characteristics of a population. To an important degree, a person's age influences what he needs, buys, does, and his capacity to perform. Consequently, the number and percentage of population found within the children, working age, and aged groups are notable determinants of the population's social and economic structure. The population of nation is generally grouped into three broad categories. They are economically unproductive and need to be provided with food, clothing, education, and medical care. They are economically productive and biologically reproductive. They comprise the working population aged above 59 years. They can be economically productive though they may have retired. They may be working voluntarily but they are not available for employment through recruitment. The percentage of children and the aged affect the dependency ratio because these groups are not producers. The proportion of the three groups in India's population is already presented. Sex ratio. Sex ratio is defined as the number of females per 1000 males in the population. This information is an important social indicator to measure the extent of equality between males and females in a society at a given time. The sex ratio in the country has always remained unfavorable to females. Kerala has a sex ratio of 1058 females per 1000 males. Pondicherry has 1001 females for 1000 males, while Delhi has only 821 females per 1000 males and Haryana has just 861. Literacy rate. Literary is a very important quality of a population. Obviously, only an informed and educated citizen can make intelligent choices and undertake research and development projects. Low levels of literacy are a serious obstacle for economic development. According to the census of 2001, a person and aged 7 years and above who can read and write with understanding in any language is treated as literate. There has been a steady improvement in the literacy levels in India. The literacy rate in the country as per the census of 2001 is 64.84%, 75.26% for for males and 53.67% for females. Why do such difference exist? Occupational structure. The percentage of population that is economically active is an important index of development. The distribution of the population according to different types of occupation is referred to as the occupational structure. An enormous variety of occupations are found in any country. Occupations are generally classified as primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary activities include agriculture, animal husbandry, forestry, fishing, mining, and quarrying, etc. Secondary activities include manufacturing industry, building and construction work, etc. Tertiary activities include transport, communications, commerce, administration, and other services. The proportion of people working in different activities varies in developed and developing countries. Developed nations have a high proportion of people in secondary and tertiary activities. Developing countries tend to have a higher proportion of their workforce engaged in primary activities. In India, about 64% of the population is engaged only in agriculture. The proportion of population dependent on secondary and tertiary sectors. Is about 13 and 20% respectively. There has been an occupational shift in favor of secondary and tertiary sectors because of growing industrialization and urbanization in recent times. Health. Health is an important component of population composition which affects the process of development. Sustained efforts of government programs have registered significant improvements in the health conditions of the Indian population. Death rates have declined from 25 per 1,000 population in 1951 to 8.1 per 1,000 in 2001, and life expectancy at birth has increased from 36.7 years in 1951 to 64.6 years in 2001. The substantial improvement is the result of many factors including improvement in public health, prevention of infectious diseases, and application of modern medical practices in diagnosis and treatment of ailments. Despite the considerable achievements, the health situation is a matter of major concern for India. The per capita calorie consumption is much below the recommended levels, and malnutrition affects a large percentage of our population. Safe drinking water and basic sanitation amenities are available to only 1/3 of the rural population. These problems need to be tackled through an appropriate population policy. Adolescent population. The most significant feature of the Indian population is the size of its adolescent population. It constitutes 1/5 of the total population of India. Adolescents are generally grouped in the age group of 10 to 19 years. They are the most important resources for the future. Nutrition requirements of adolescents are higher than those of normal child or adult. Poor nutrition can lead to deficiency and stunt growth. But in India, the diet available to adolescents is inadequate in all nutrition. A large number of adolescent girls suffer from anemia. Their problems have so far not received adequate attention in the process of development. The adolescent girls have to be sensitized to the problems they confront. The awareness can be improved through the spread of literacy and education among them. National population policy, recognizing that the planning of families would improve individual health and welfare. The government of India initiated the comprehensive family planning program in 1952. The family welfare program has sought to promote responsible and planned parenthood on a voluntary basis. The National Population Policy 2000 is a culmination of years of planned efforts. The NPP 2000 provides a policy framework for imparting free and compulsory school education of up to 14 years of age, reducing infant mortality rate to below 30%, 1,000 live births, achieving universal immunization of children against all vaccine preventable diseases, promoting delaying marriage for girls and making family welfare a pupil-centered program. NPP 2000 and adolescents. NPP 2000 identified adolescents as one of the major sections of the population that need greater attention. Besides nutritional requirements, the policy put greater emphasis on the important needs of adolescents, including protection from unwanted pregnancies and sexually transmitted diseases. It called for programs that aim towards encouraging delayed marriage and childbearing, education, of adolescents about the risk of unprotected sex, making contraceptive services accessible and affordable, providing food supplements, nutritional services, strengthening legal measures to prevent child marriage. People are the nation's most valuable resource. A well-educated, healthy population provides potential power.